Hey everybody, just doing a quick little Bitcoin market update. So, yeah, we got some pretty good volatility on the open, especially with the the JOLTS job openings that came in as well. Tomorrow we do have non-farm payroll, and the big one is what is it, April 2nd. So that is tariff day. That is when the Trump administration reciprocal tariffs are expected to go into full effect, and he is going to be delivering an address at 19 UTC tomorrow. So watch out for that. Thursday, jobless claims, more jobs. So a lot of jobs data this week, really setting the tone for the start of Q2. Anyways, moving forward on long shorts, Bitcoin is gaining levels very, very hard. And we have very quickly, within 24 hours, gone from 2-to-1 long to short back to almost 1-to-1. So that's continuing to drop as people are trying to short into this local move, exacerbating the price action to the upside. So that looks relatively good, in all honesty. We've broken above the previous monthly open. We've retested some stuff, and we've now retested the Q2. In all honesty, the low is in until we lose 82 at this point. But I'll go through some of the levels more specifically. The funding rates are actually supporting the upside move. So funding rates were a bit more positive, around about 0.05 or so, or 0.005. Nothing too crazy, in all honesty, earlier. But now negative funding rates across the board for the most part, even the token marginized. So token marginized, that means Bitcoin being used to long Bitcoin as the underlying asset. Awesome. Supporting the move up, looking good. On the liquidation side, yeah, we had a nice move up in some local liquidity. A lot of people trying to short this, which is good. Any new gains off of what we're doing now, 85.5, basically that high, you're going to see some continuation up towards 86.5. I think there's some key levels at 86 and 86.5. Locally, if you lose the low at 84.5, you're going to see a sweep down towards 84K, probably break just below to retest some levels. But there are some support levels and some things to retest here as well. If we look a little bit higher time frame, just on the overall liquidations, in this area, the things that really stick out to me across the board are that we have stepped off from some nice zones below us. We can easily start losing that again. We will sweep sub 80K the moment we start losing some of these lows down at 82K. I don't see this holding. I think we sweep all that big long liquidation zones there below us if we are going to lose that hip right here at 82K. But for the time being, there is some stuff above us. We're getting into a bit of a liquidity dead zone, 86K to 86.5. Yeah, this is underside retesting some stuff, but it's still, again, the local price action looks relatively good. On the resting and limit orders that are stepping in, it was relatively flat dead. We saw some nice stuff at the open. If you look at the volume based on the time frames as well, this is on the US Open. I'm just on UTC. So just remember, US Open is going to give you the most amount of volatility right now in the space. In the last two opens, we've seen some nice step off. So we'll see if we get some retracement tomorrow. Just kidding. The big things here are we're seeing some big block orders stepping in, 42 mil, 35 mil, and then some bigger stuff stepping up above us going into the afternoon hours. So there are some big layerings of short orders above. Basically this, more specifically 84.7. If we start breaking that, we should see some retracement back down potentially, but for the time being, it looks relatively good. Can't really complain about the overall price action, and we've made some really big low tests on that low. So specifically, let's look at the chart to see exactly where we're at. The big things here are the move up was strong, but very manipulated down here at the Q2. Perfect bullish back test of the Q2 open of the April 1st. Wonderful bullish back test. With the moves that we were doing yesterday, we actually saw an establishment of a third support zone. So this is, like, you see the overlapping blue getting stronger after this. It's just, there's too much overlapping support in this zone. It'll be quite hard to break it. Now, we can break it. I think if we start getting underneath 82, breaking below that weekly open, we should see a nice flush out of that stuff. Now, even if we get a big flush out, it doesn't mean like we have to go all the way to the lows. It just means we're going to grab all that local liquidations. Until there's something that happens above us, we're actually looking relatively good in the current price action. The daily stepping off really aggressively. And yeah, we've bullshit back tested Q2. We're above March, and now we've got some stuff to retest. So we do have some stuff here at 84.3, that March open. We can come all the way back down to kind of the start of the move here, 83.9, 84K. But we want to see some sideways, really. The best things you can see here, since we're quite overbought on the lower time frames, it went outside of a 1 4-hour period. It's been mostly up only going into the Monday open from yesterday. So it looks relatively good. Like I said, if we are going to see some pullbacks, we want to see some failures here. Realistically, I'm not worried until we start losing 84K. If we start losing 84, we have to farm out some larger structure. But for here, we're looking for some sideways and down and potentially some holds of levels. The 4 hours got plenty of room to run. It's the 1 hour and below that everything's a bit overbought. So we want some sideways. We want some cooling off on some of the metrics and some eventual attacks back up at this previous weekly open. So there's a lot of stuff to do up here. Testing 86.5 is a big one. Testing the 86K at the weekly open. Watch out for the special price action. You know, we've talked about this before. This whole move that we did over this structure from last week, this built out a significant amount of shorts. So lots of shorts stacked all the way through that kind of slanting down move. If we do get a pop above and we aren't breaking down, we're actually making higher lows, you want to see some flat top structure or some like vertical structure like this. What'll end up happening if we start doing this type of stuff, we might actually just stack all the local short liquidations and the short liquidity along with what we built up last week and just punch through it all. I'm not ruling that out. It's still very much a possibility. But for the time being, you've had some really good closes, really strong 4 hour close, actually above some previous 4 hours. So really, really nice there across the board. Watch for if we get some pullback. It looks good to continue until you lose March and the 84K zone. It'll be kind of your bigger trigger to come back down to retest stuff. But overall, we've done all the major retests and it doesn't need to happen. It's a better chance we actually go lower because we've already tested. We've already tested the Q2. So nice step off moves from yesterday. I was a little skeptical until we actually started closing above it earlier this morning. And by the time we were doing this Q2 retest, it was solid. We saw the manipulation of the books. We saw the fact that they were locally forcing price lower at the same time as accumulating longer positions into, from 83K on down to have a step off move higher. So across the board, looks relatively good. Watch the closes. And yeah, let's let that 1 hour cool off. It looks relatively okay, even on the 1 hour. If we do start losing some local stuff, like I said, you want to see that kind of localized failure, so bring you back down to retest things. Lots of overlapping support, 82.5 all the way through 81.2. So this is all a bid zone until it's significantly lost and on this structure's really bearishly retested. Then you're looking for lower. Until then, it's looking pretty good. So that's it. Take it easy. Catch you tomorrow.